Silence is not the absence of action. It is the environment in which action becomes precise. When you stop announcing your intentions, your mind remains uncluttered and your energy stays directed toward execution rather than explanation. Focus sharpens because you are no longer managing reactions, opinions, or expectations. The absence of noise allows you to hear your own thinking clearly, and clarity accelerates movement. Every opinion you invite creates friction, even when it is well-intentioned. Advice often carries the limitations of the person giving it, and distractions multiply when too many voices compete for influence. Silence acts as a filter, protecting your vision from dilution. With fewer external inputs, decisions become faster and more aligned, allowing momentum to build without interruption. When plans are kept private, pressure decreases and consistency increases. Public declarations create artificial deadlines and emotional weight that can distort judgment. Silence removes the urge to perform for others and replaces it with the discipline to perform for results. This internal accountability produces steadier progress over time. Momentum thrives in repetition, not in discussion. Each quiet action reinforces confidence and builds capability. Without the need to justify each step, energy is recycled directly back into the work. Progress compounds because nothing is leaking outward through unnecessary conversation. Silence also preserves flexibility. When plans are not publicly defined, adjustment becomes easy and ego stays out of the way. You can pivot without explanation, refine without embarrassment, and evolve without resistance. This freedom keeps momentum alive even when conditions change. Focus deepens when attention is not fragmented by feedback loops. Explaining plans forces the mind into defensive or persuasive modes, pulling it away from creation. Silence keeps the mind in builder mode, where ideas are tested through action instead of debate. This state produces higher quality outcomes with less effort. Distractions often enter through conversations rather than circumstances. Questions lead to second guessing, and second guessing slows execution. Silence closes that door. With fewer interruptions, work sessions become longer, more immersive, and more effective, allowing progress to accelerate naturally. Silence strengthens commitment because the work becomes personal rather than performative. You continue not because others are watching, but because the vision demands consistency. This private discipline builds endurance and resilience, which are essential for sustained momentum. When progress happens quietly, confidence grows internally instead of being borrowed externally. Each completed action reinforces belief, and belief fuels the next action. This self-reinforcing cycle creates speed that feels effortless because it is uninterrupted. Protecting plans through silence ensures that focus remains intact from start to finish. Energy stays concentrated, decisions stay aligned, and momentum remains unbroken as actions stack on top of each other and progress moves forward without interference. Talking about goals too early creates a false sense of completion in the mind. When intentions are spoken aloud, the brain often registers them as partial achievements, releasing satisfaction before any real work has been done. That premature reward weakens the urgency to act, making discipline feel less necessary because the ego has already been fed. Early discussion shifts focus from execution to appearance. Instead of concentrating on the daily actions required, attention moves toward how the goal sounds to others and how it is received. This external focus subtly redirects energy away from building skills and systems and toward maintaining an image, which slows real progress. Discipline thrives in discomfort and repetition, not in applause. When goals are shared too soon, encouragement and praise arrive before results, softening the edge that drives consistent effort. The hunger to prove something through action is replaced by the comfort of being acknowledged for intention alone. Temporary validation is addictive because it feels productive without requiring sacrifice. Each compliment or expression of support provides a short emotional high, but it does not move the work forward. Over time, this pattern conditions the mind to seek reactions instead of results, weakening the habit of disciplined execution. Talking early also invites comparison, which fractures focus. Once goals are public, they are measured against others' timelines, opinions, and expectations. This comparison introduces unnecessary pressure and doubt, pulling attention away from the process and toward outcomes that cannot be rushed. Energy is finite and explanation consumes it. Every conversation about what you plan to do requires emotional investment, justification, and sometimes defense. That energy could have been used to take another step, refine a skill, or solve a problem, but instead it is spent managing perceptions. Discipline grows strongest when motivation is internal rather than social. Quiet commitment forces reliance on routine instead of recognition. When no one is watching, consistency becomes the only option, and that consistency builds the capacity to follow through even when enthusiasm fades. Early sharing can also lock ideas in place before they are fully formed. Once spoken, goals feel permanent, making adjustment feel like failure instead of refinement. This rigidity can slow progress and create hesitation, whereas silence allows plans to evolve naturally through action. The habit of withholding goals preserves intensity. Without external release, desire builds and channels itself into effort. This stored energy fuels longer work sessions, sharper focus, and a stronger drive to complete what was started. When discipline is protected from premature validation, execution remains the primary source of satisfaction. Progress becomes the reward, and each completed action reinforces the commitment to continue building without distraction. Results carry a clarity that words can never match. Explanations depend on persuasion, tone, and belief, but proof stands independently of opinion. When outcomes are visible, there is nothing to justify and nothing to defend. The work speaks in a language everyone understands, regardless of whether they agree with the process that produced it. Intentions are invisible and easily misunderstood. Announcements rely on trust, while results rely on evidence. When proof is present, assumptions disappear because reality has already answered every question. This removes the burden of convincing others and allows focus to remain on continued growth. Explanations often exist to fill the gap left by a lack of completion. They attempt to describe what is coming instead of demonstrating what has arrived. Results close that gap completely, leaving no room for speculation or doubt. What exists in front of people requires no interpretation. When proof is delivered, conversations change in tone. Skepticism fades because it has nothing to attach to. Doubt loses its voice in the presence of evidence, and criticism becomes irrelevant when outcomes are measurable. The energy once spent on defending plans can now be invested in expanding results. Announcements create expectations that are fragile and easily questioned. Results create standards that are solid and difficult to dismiss. One is built on hope, the other on execution. When standards are established, respect follows naturally without the need for explanation. Explanations invite negotiation, but results end discussions. Words can be challenged, debated, and ignored, but proof demands acknowledgement. It stands firm even in silence, carrying authority without needing reinforcement. This authority is earned, not requested. The habit of letting results speak encourages deeper discipline. Instead of rehearsing stories about what will happen, attention stays fixed on making something tangible happen. This focus produces higher quality output because effort is directed toward completion rather than communication. Proof also protects credibility over time. Each result compounds trust, making future actions easier and faster. When a pattern of outcomes exists, people stop asking why and start paying attention to what comes next. Momentum grows because confidence is anchored in reality. Results simplify identity. You are no longer defined by what you claim to be working on, but by what you have produced. This simplicity removes pressure and aligns self-perception with action, reinforcing consistency and clarity. When proof replaces explanation, progress becomes the primary language. Actions accumulate, evidence multiplies, and outcomes continue to speak with increasing volume as intention quietly transforms into undeniable reality. Building in private creates a safe space for imperfection, where mistakes are not exposed but examined. Errors become information instead of embarrassment, allowing learning to happen without fear. This freedom encourages experimentation, which is essential for discovering what truly works. When no audience is present, progress can be messy without consequence. Early efforts rarely look impressive, and private building removes the pressure to appear competent before competence is developed. This allows attention to stay on improvement rather than image. Refinement requires repetition, and repetition often includes failure. In private, failure does not carry social weight, so it can be analyzed objectively. Adjustments are made quickly because ego is not involved in protecting appearances. External pressure often accelerates decisions before they are ready. Public timelines and expectations force premature conclusions, while private work allows ideas to mature naturally. This patience leads to stronger foundations and more sustainable outcomes. Mastery is built through deliberate practice, not performance. When efforts are hidden, focus stays on skill development instead of validation. Each iteration becomes more precise, and progress compounds quietly over time. Privacy also protects confidence during early stages. Confidence is fragile before results are consistent, and exposure can shake belief before it stabilizes. Working in silence allows confidence to grow internally through competence rather than externally through praise. Without outside opinions, intuition strengthens. Decision-making becomes sharper because it is guided by experience rather than feedback. This independence fosters a deeper understanding of the craft and accelerates personal growth. Private building encourages honest self-assessment. There is no need to exaggerate progress or hide weaknesses. This honesty leads to targeted improvement and faster correction of flaws that would otherwise remain unaddressed. As skills develop quietly, resilience increases. Setbacks are handled internally, building emotional strength alongside technical ability. This resilience becomes a competitive advantage when challenges arise later in public view. When mastery is formed in private, execution becomes effortless in public. The work carries depth, confidence, and precision that only sustained, pressure-free refinement can produce. Being underestimated removes the burden of expectation and replaces it with freedom to operate. When others do not see you as a threat or a contender, they stop watching closely. This lack of attention creates space to work without interference, allowing progress to unfold without resistance. Underestimation lowers external pressure while increasing internal drive. With no need to impress, energy is directed toward execution rather than performance. This environment encourages steady effort, where consistency becomes the primary advantage instead of visibility. Quiet consistency compounds over time. Small, repeated actions accumulate into skill, confidence, and capability. Because the progress is not announced, the growth remains unnoticed until it reaches a level that cannot be ignored. Leverage is created when preparation happens without scrutiny. While others rely on recognition and momentum fueled by attention, quiet builders rely on systems and habits. These systems operate regardless of mood or applause, making progress stable and reliable. When underestimated, mistakes are overlooked rather than magnified. This allows experimentation without penalty and learning without judgment. Each correction strengthens the foundation while the absence of attention preserves momentum. Consistency in silence sharpens discipline. Without external validation, commitment must come from within. This internal accountability builds endurance and makes effort sustainable even when progress feels slow. Unexpected outcomes carry more impact because they disrupt assumptions. When results appear without warning, they command attention and respect. Surprise becomes a force multiplier, amplifying the perceived strength of the achievement. Being overlooked also reduces competition. Fewer people attempt to block or imitate what they do not notice. This allows uninterrupted development and creates a head start that becomes evident only when the gap is already wide. Quiet progress aligns actions with long-term vision rather than short-term recognition. Decisions are made for durability instead of applause. This alignment ensures that outcomes are not only impressive but also sustainable. When consistency is maintained in obscurity, strength is built without distraction. Growth accelerates beneath the surface until it emerges fully formed, carrying the weight of discipline, patience, and strategic silence. True confidence is rooted in certainty, not display. It does not feel the need to announce itself because it is anchored in preparation and self-trust. When confidence is real, it remains calm and focused, directing energy inward toward action rather than outward toward recognition. Seeking attention often reveals insecurity, while disciplined action reflects belief. Those who trust their ability understand that visibility does not create value, execution does. Confidence expressed through work is quiet, steady, and intentional, allowing results to form without distraction. Disciplined action requires commitment beyond motivation. Confidence shows up in routines, habits, and consistency, especially on days when enthusiasm is absent. This commitment builds momentum that does not depend on emotion or approval. Attention can become a shortcut that weakens growth. When praise arrives too early, it interferes with the development of discipline. True confidence delays gratification, choosing long-term mastery over immediate acknowledgement. Working without an audience strengthens focus. Decisions are made based on effectiveness rather than perception. This clarity keeps actions aligned with purpose and prevents energy from being wasted on maintaining an image. Confidence grows through evidence, not words. Each completed task reinforces belief and strengthens resolve. Over time, this internal proof becomes unshakable, eliminating the need for reassurance from others. Discipline creates structure, and structure supports confidence. Clear processes reduce uncertainty and replace doubt with direction. This foundation allows progress to continue steadily even when challenges arise. When attention is not the goal, patience increases. Progress is measured by improvement rather than reaction. This patience allows skills and systems to mature fully before being exposed. Undeniable success is the natural outcome of sustained effort. It arrives quietly, built on countless unseen actions. By the time it becomes visible, it no longer needs explanation or validation. Confidence proven through discipline carries authority. It stands firm without noise, grounded in consistent execution that speaks for itself through results.